supposed to be let in at 8 a.m. and we weren't let in until 11:30 a.m. So we lost 3.5 hours of shooting time.
Yeah, rough break.
Yeah. So that sucked. It was just some kind of delay with the manager, we'll call it. But yeah, so all that was delayed. So we're gonna have to have an extra shooting day to film literally one scene. It's gonna take like an hour and a half. So that's
terrible.
That's annoying, but it's all right. The shots we got were good, and we made up the time, so it all.
Yeah. So now that you guys have a little bit of time to relax, I was wondering if you guys could just tell the audience what this movie is about. What are you guys working on?
Yeah. Okay, I'll take this one, I guess.
Nice writer.
So the main theme of In Bloom, I would say, is like family unity under oppression and crisis. But it's mostly, it was originally inspired by my dad. He's a Brazilian immigrant here to America, and I kind of wanted to make an homage about like being in a new city, in a new country, and having to, you know, use some maybe odd means to get what you need. Obviously, In Bloom is a dystopian, dramatic film, so all this is dramatized. Obviously, none of this actually happened to my dad, but the general like character archetypes are inspired by him and his younger self that he's told me about and the stories that I grew up with. It's also just about proving that Latin people aren't just gangbangers or maids or hookers in films, because that's a trope that we tend to fall into. So I just wanted to prove that like Latin people can be DPs or directors or lead actresses in a dystopian film. It doesn't always have to be something about, you know, a drug cartel.
Right.
Yeah, of course. That's especially important to tell alternate perspectives. So I'm curious about you guys in particular. What brought you guys together to work on this project specifically?
Well, I knew Anna from our orientation group, and I met Sandro in our speech comm class last year. So
we had a speech communications.
Oh yeah, you guys. You always have to do that your first semester.
Yeah, it was a blast, and
It was.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't know.
I had a good time in that class.
I personally didn't like mine, mainly because I had a very boring professor.
We had a fire professor. Shout out to Kristen Reels.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, how did just meeting and just overall talking with each other, how did you guys find common ground with this project? What were some common things that you guys touched on?
I think Sophie and I found our common ground like the first week of school. We got put in the same like orientation group, and like we had some, you know, like the get to know you exercises or whatever. We both started, you know, kind of talking about our experience with growing up Latin in America, and so we kind of found that common ground really fast. And then when I saw and heard about Sophie's In Bloom project, I thought it was really awesome, and I showed up, and here we are.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What about you, Alessandro? What drew you to this project in particular?
Yeah, so in the aforementioned speech communication class, I had kind of like I don't know, I was kind of like advertising myself to people, like, as a director of photography. I was like I just sprinkle it in a conversation. I'd be like, oh yeah, also I'm a DP, so it's just like I used to do that all the time, because I was like, hey, somebody got to know. But I guess somebody knew, because I like mentioned it in the class, and then there was this one day, it was me, Sophia, and a friend of ours, shout out Jay, and yeah, we were like looking over each other's scripts, because we had talked about it like in the class, and her script that she brought for us to look over was In Bloom, and so that was the first time I read it. And I think not too long after that, she asked if I wanted to DP it, because I don't know, because I don't know, like I had
you're
mentioned
talented.
It, thanks, man. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened for me.
He's so nonchalant, bro.
Yeah, I'm curious about what are some of the other projects that you've worked on in the past, and how is sort of working on that experience ultimately culminated in this?
Oh, that's a big question. I guess for me personally, I was an actor before I transitioned into filmmaking. So the first thing that I got casted in was Florida State University master thesis, and that was my first time where I, even while being like more white presenting, I did get to play a Latin character, and I got to pick like her last name. So that was fun because I could also like inform the writing as well. The director was awesome. Shout out Yiming. But she let me sit down with her and talk about, you know, this character and what aspects of it that I felt connected to in terms of my Latin identity, because the character was also like a child of immigrants. She was super hardworking, and that informed a lot of that character. So I guess I have been commonly thrown into roles in that background. I also was in another dystopian series, like proof of concept, that I am writing on and will be shooting hopefully within the next year as Leia. Shout out to Ben. The series is called Ichikon, and that's another dystopian series that I worked on, and that was like my big push, I think, to make something like In Bloom and lean into the dystopian like genre, even on a low budget, because I saw Ben do it and I just thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I'm curious about, more reflectively, what do you think are aspects of the dystopian genre in particular that draw you to that?
I think it's just having these characters that have like very relatable personalities and outlooks on the world in these like extreme situations that makes you feel comfort in a way, I think, to audiences. Like I always really loved dystopian films and stuff. I read like the entire Maze Runner series and The Hunger Games, and all of those characters really meant a lot to me, because I felt that, you know, even though these people are under these like crazy situations, it matches the emotional resonance that is in like regular daily life. You know, when bad stuff happens in real life, it feels like a dystopian world for you, I think. So it's just a good way to like have an outlet for those emotions, I think.
Yeah, I'm really curious about what the visual aesthetics of your project are going to look like, because I what I've noticed that in a lot of dystopian fiction, not just in movies and TV shows, but in fiction in general, is that a lot of creatives have their own perspective on a dystopia. Because like the way I've interpreted the Maze Runner is kind of just you know, if you think about it, it's a broader reflection of what it means to be a teenager, or what it means to go through the trials of growing up. But with the Hunger Games, it's much more of a reflection of broader society, capitalism,
Yeah.
You know, the inner structures and power, and about how to build that, and you know, growing up in that environment and what it takes to rebel against that system. So I'm curious about like the visuals of your project, and what did you, like when you guys were shooting today, like did it, I'm sorry, I'm trying to put this into words, but like how did like what you imagined compare to like what was there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can take this one. I feel like In Bloom, the dystopia present within the world of In Bloom is one that is not very dissimilar to our own, and so it's like the fact that the visual style acts in a way that reflects reality kind of emphasizes the fact that these themes that are present within the film are very real, like, and the messages that are within it are very relevant to our time.
Yeah. Pretty much I feel like In Bloom was heavily inspired by like our feelings on current events. Like Sandro said, he saw the first ever draft of In Bloom, and
True.
yeah, the very first one. I didn't even have it done, but with him and Jay, like just talking about our feelings about stuff going on, that helped inform like my writing as well. And in terms of visuals, Sandra and I put together like a Pinterest board, like everyone does, and we have an awesome gaffer, Ore, who just
shout out Ore.
Yeah, he just takes stuff straight from the Pinterest board and made it real. So that was really cool. We love playing around with like color and composition a lot. We had some really fun shots.
Shout out Ori.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know Ore.
I'm working with him on a project.
Yeah. He's got a reputation, man.
Yeah,
he's my roommate.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, Alessandro, I'm wondering, as you were like as Sophia said, you were like one of the few who got to see this draft first. What were your What were your first impressions, and how did you think about, like, what did you imagine the visual style of this film looking like?
On my initial read, I feel like I imagined it much more like drastic in terms of visuals, like almost in the way that dystopias typically are, kind of hammed up a little bit and accentuated. But yeah, so that's kind of how I felt initially. But I also felt that, I don't know, it almost felt in that the script wasn't self-contained and that there was more to be seen. So I feel like with time it kind of grew into what it is today.
Yeah, and I'm curious, as you were, Sophia, as you were like, because like one of the things you said that stood out to me was that like you come from an acting background, and I'm curious about how much of your personal experience acting informed your directing. Like, were you able to put yourself in the actor's perspective?
I think being an actor before informs everything as a director, because there's certain key words and things that you can say that you know will hit an actor properly, or just like considering the way that I was trained personally, like what words worked for me to translate something. So like, for example, today with Anna, I was asking her, she has a little bit of a romantic scene with another character, and I was asking her to like look at the person's eyes and look at their lips and look at their hair and like mentally compliment every aspect of their face, because then that'll show on your face like a loving kind of look, because you're mentally complimenting that person. And that's what worked to me to like display affection in my own acting. So it's just like those little acting coach things that I was taught in my classes, I was able to like implement in my directing.
So those subtle cues of how to like elicit a reaction here or there.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
And Anna, I want to get to you. Sorry, I haven't talked
good.
to you a lot, but
these guys have the big pieces.
no, but you're still important. You're playing
the most important, actually.
From what Sophia told, you're playing one of the main leads. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your character. Who is she, and what is her role in the story?
Yes. So Sage is a very stubborn, strong-hearted person. I see a lot of myself in this character, so I feel like I'm sort of just playing a more dramatized version of me in this film, which is kind of awesome. But she has a big heart, and she really cares about her family, and I guess the whole premise of the film is she is willing to do anything to keep them safe and to, just prove herself to them and, make a safe space for them, which I also relate to a lot. Shout out family, love you guys. But yeah, I think she's a really awesome character, and I'm happy to be on this project.
What would you say is Sage's biggest conflict in the story?
Her biggest conflict, I think, is that she thinks she can do everything by herself. And she thinks she can solve all of the issues, which ultimately leads to more issues. So again, very stubborn, very, I'll do it myself kind of attitude, or I can do it myself kind of attitude. So I would say that's probably one of the big internal conflicts for her.
That's really cool. I was wondering if you guys could list at least one movie that you think would pair well with watching this. Whatever it is, whatever it may be, just go ahead, name it.
Like as like a watch party?
Yeah, like just to watch alongside. Just to watch,
thing.
yeah, as a watch party, just to watch alongside it.
That's a hard
Oh my
question.
god.
The Hunger Games. Yeah.
Some dystopian. Put on Divergent, bro.
Yeah.
Classic.
Literally any like pre-teen young adult dystopian story ever. Yeah.
Yeah, I was also wondering about other members of the cast and crew. What was that process like, getting them together, and then getting them on board with your
Mhm.
vision. What was that like? I was wondering if you could go into that.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of something for Sandra and I, because he was brought on the project so early, and so was our my co-producer Jin, and you know, Sandro is obviously like Afro-Latino, and Jin himself is also like Asian, so it was really important for us, especially like in a PWI, to have a cast and crew that was like diverse and reflective of our personal stories. Especially like myself, I grew up in South Florida, so everybody there is like non-white, you know what I mean? So I really wanted to have that environment on set because unfortunately that is something that I did notice even my first semester being at Emerson. There was definitely a lack of diversity on sets, which is interesting because you have a lot of different kinds of people coming out. It's just people just subconsciously, you know, we're at a PWI, so it just happens. But it's not more of just like consciously trying to, oh, we have to pick people like that, but it's marketing the film on social media as a place where no matter who you are, you don't have to feel like you will be excluded from the story, because it is a way for all of us to translate our personal voices. So of course there's Anna, who's Latina, and we have the two others playing her siblings who are also Latino boys, and a lot of people on our crew are also Latin, and that was really great for me because I was having trouble finding other Latin people on campus. It was nice to see the turnout of other people who had that same passion in creating a set that was really meant for anyone, and there was no feelings of exclusion in that process.
That was really cool. I was wondering about Alessandro. I was wondering if you could talk about some of the equipment and technical stuff that you guys are doing. How ambitious are you guys trying to be without going into spoilers? Territory.
We took forever to set up that office thing.
Yeah, in terms of kit, we have a good amount of stuff. We have a good amount of stuff. It's kind of a lot. Yeah, so we're shooting on the Blackmagic Pixis. It's my camera, and we're using my rig, but we're using the Sony Signature PL Primes and like a cine kit. And so yeah, so we just rigged up the Pixis. We're shooting 4K, 24 frames per second. I would have done open gate 6K, but those I don't have enough storage or enough computing power to edit those, even with proxy. Like it's but yeah. So that's what we're shooting for cam, and then we have a ton of lights because
so many lights.
Yeah, we lit some big spaces, so we had to make sure that we had a lot of light to cover that. So we have a plethora of things. We got Asteras, we got vortexes, it's a bunch of stuff. So yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, Sophia, who are some of your personal directorial heroes? Because like one thing I noticed with directors, we all have our personal heroes, and I'm curious if you have any that you'd love to share.
Real talk, I do not really have specific directors that I am really into, just because growing up I was the kid who like I liked one movie and I just watched it over and over again, so that's why the dystopian genre was so easy for me to lean into, because that was like everything that I watched when I was younger. Before like getting into film, I didn't really dedicate myself to watching all these different movies and all these different heroes, but I do have a couple films specifically that did like inspire the visual style. Like I watched Chungking Express and Fallen Angels by Wong Kar-wai, so I guess he's the closest thing I have to like an image to look up to. Just I really like his like some of his tracking camera work and the way that he uses like real framing in the shots to frame the shots, if that makes sense, like through a doorway or things like that. That was what inspired a couple shots today, definitely. And yeah, I also just love the color grading and the color choices in Chungking Express. But I also was a painter like my entire life. I still am. There was a point where I did think I was gonna go to art school. So that informs the most of my directing. Is just like, what would I do if this were painting, mostly.
That is a really unique approach, and yeah, that's amazing. I'm curious. Boy, What else do you guys have planned for this weekend? Are you guys planning on filming this weekend, or have you guys divided up filming to across the month?
Yeah, well, original plan was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. With that extra bar scene that we're gonna have, we're trying to do next Friday morning. But that should be like a 2-hour one and done type thing. But yeah, tomorrow should be a full day, and Sunday should be like a half day for shooting.
That's pretty cool.
Fun one weekend shoot.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm curious. Do you guys have any questions for me? So I don't usually ask that, but I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I actually do. So, based on like just what your show is, what is it that you particularly highlight within like the Emerson community, or like in like any community? Like what particularly do you focus on?
I just focus on anything that people are personally working on, that they're personally trying to do. Projects like yours that are very ambitious, because I do this show mainly because I see a lot of students advertising their work and they're putting a lot of effort into their own projects, but I rarely see them ever having the opportunity to talk about them, and to just have the space to explain what is my movie about, why am I doing this, and I don't know, that's maybe ambitious, but hopefully this could be that space. If it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful space to have, because it's also like I feel like the voices of directors are like very important. I feel like when you watch one of those interviews and it's like you're watching Christopher Nolan's thought process when he was making his next blockbuster film, it's like you get another sense for the author's vision and the director's choices and what they were trying to specifically accomplish that you wouldn't have gathered, I feel like, simply without hearing that actual voice.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and it was really nice to see that someone like reached out and was curious about it, because like I said before, I just really want to emphasize that like Latin people don't have to keep being casted in these same roles.
Oh my god, yeah.
And even like as an actor, it was hard because you could see like certain acting coaches and stuff like, oh, why don't you play this character in our run through? And I'm like, I did this 10 times already. Like, and just not really getting the opportunity to do different things. So I really wanted to give like that platform to, other Latin actors to be able to be like portrayed, and also like have multiple actors who were Latin on my set. Like doing that Emerson, I was just like really, really proud of myself, because there are not that many Latin actors here, and just having that many as a focus of the story is also very rare to see. And it's like, I feel like whenever I'm watching stuff, I'm always like reaching for crumbs of like Latin stories, and sometimes I'm like, maybe we're talking about being Latin too much, but I'm like, no, but I am though. Like, it's just such a big part of like who I am in my childhood. It's like, I grew up in America, but I grew up in a Brazilian household, and like I visited there, and I have so much family there, and it's just like so integral to who I am as a person. So it just makes sense for that to be translated in my directing and in my work too, and it's more become like a personal mission of mine of like keep putting other kinds of people in really niche roles that they otherwise might not have access to.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, of
Really
course.
I think that you wanting to give a space to students to talk about their work is really awesome, because I feel like this younger generation of artists and creators, I am really looking forward to how that ends up translating into the larger media industry. And I feel like a lot of the times, like people don't really like to listen to us that much, because we're still, like
people
young,
just think that we're
20.
kids.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really awesome, and kind of what Sophie was saying. Just, I think it's important and like way past time for us to be telling these stories. Like for me, also growing up Hispanic, there is a serious lack of Hispanic representation or accurate Hispanic representation in film.
Yeah.
And growing up, like, I remember, I think this was 2021 or something when Encanto came out, and I was watching it and I was like, this is the first time that I have seen a cartoon character who looks like me.
Yeah.
And I was like 18 years old at the time.
Encanto made me cry.
Yeah, I was like
Oh my
17,
God.
18, and I was like,
I may not be Latin. My parents are Indian, but that scene at the
Yeah.
end where he's singing to his, I believe it just made me cry, man.
Yeah.
It's just so,
It was really
it's
I
just so
touching.
beautiful.
like, this is ridiculous that I am like 17, 18 years old, and this is the first time that I have seen a character who really looks like me, who I can relate to, who
Yeah.
has depth, and like I was just really excited about this project. And what I love about it is that yes, it's Hispanic centered, but the story doesn't necessarily revolve around them
Yeah.
being Hispanic, because
Yeah.
I would also really love to see a main character, like a superhero, or you know, like a hero-esque character
Yeah.
who is just brown, and the whole point of their story isn't that they're brown. Like,
Yes.
they just are.
Yeah.
And like, yes, obviously telling the stories of Hispanic people and the things that they
Yeah.
go through is very important, but like, you know, I would love to see, you know, main characters who are just brown and their whole story isn't about
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
skin color. So
Mhm.
I was very excited about
Yes,
this
and
project.
I'd love to add on to that because that was a huge thing for me as well. Shout out to my best friend Alicia. She's Indian. She was born in Kerala, and when I was making In Bloom, I was sending the first versions to her, and she was also talking to me about how like I just want to see a brown person be brown. Like, why does it have to be an immigrant story? Why does it have to be a story about racism? Why does it have to be
Why do we always have to be
over-
victims or
Exactly.
struggling? Yeah,
That's the thing,
they,
and it was
they portray us as being powerless, like we
Yeah.
can't think for ourselves.
exactly. So, you know, having those conversations with her all the time. I love you, Alicia, so much, my bookie.
Sending shout outs
But
in this
I know
podcast.
she's like my best friend forever. Anyway, but like having this conversation with her, and like she's also a complete like film nerd too. So like when she found out that I got into like a film school, I mean, she was so excited for me, and like it's also like important for her. We were literally just texting about this before I came on here. She's like, "Alicia, I'm going on a podcast. Like, this is so cool." But just like how important it is again to just like have non-white American people not have to be victims and just like be in their own niche little story. And again, like Anna said, it of course like the motivation of the story is Latin centered because that's what informed me to create it, but the actual story itself really has nothing to do with their Latin identity. And I think that's what's important, is just like they can just exist in worlds, and it doesn't have to be surrounded on the fact where their race is the subject of the story every single time.
Yeah. Oh my god, I was just thinking about this movie. Have you guys heard of Monkey Man?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
heard
with
of it.
Dave Patel.
Fire.
What I love about that movie is like the way it depicts the Indian characters. Like most of the time, like if you see Indians in Hollywood movies, it's usually just a nerd or someone who's
Yeah.
poor or
Yeah.
or a guide or something. But they center it on the character, and he's an active protagonist. He's making choices, and it's not about like it doesn't have like a white savior complex or anything.
Yeah.
A white person doesn't just like come in and they're like, boom, you're all
Yes, exactly.
racism is solved.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. It portrays like the harsh realities, and it's a cool movie. It's just a Indian John Wick, which is
Yeah.
nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's always nice just to have those things to like hold on to and have that like, you know, representation for yourself. Because truly, like being a kid, it's really important to see yourself on screen because it really does breed a lot of insecurity. And obviously, like I have my own privilege. I'm very white presenting. You know what I mean? But like again, I have my best friend Alicia, and we've had such extensive conversations about this and how important media is in making especially kids feel like included. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's really important to just like have kids have that self-confidence and not have to be like insecure about something that they can't change. And I think especially within the Latin community, like stopping the discourse within each other. Because I mean, there's always like soccer beef, of course. That's gonna be forever, but just like having an understanding that, you know, like when we are outside of our home countries, it is important to have a sense of unity and make sure that like in our younger generations we remind them like this is where you came from and that's important and it's okay to be different than everyone else. You know, it's okay. Like it's something that you can be proud of as well.
Yeah, you're right. And I feel like Latin stories are so needed, like especially now, because like if we aren't telling our own stories, then nobody else will. That's the unfortunate truth. That and if we don't speak up for ourselves, nobody else will.
Yeah.
And if we don't make that step, we won't gain any progress.
Yeah, that's definitely a big motivation. It's just like, well, no one else is gonna do it, so I have to. And that's also something, again, like I mentioned, the series Ichikon that I helped co-write with Ben was also something that inspired In Bloom, because he made a dedication to have a Black-centered cast, and the whole dystopian proof of concept is like Afrofuturism type stuff, and that was so sick to work on, and it was just so inspiring to speak with Ben and the lead actress as well, and understand that there's like other people who are working so hard to like have their niche stories told. And again, like this main cast is all, you know, Black, but the story has nothing to do with the fact that they're Black. They just happen to be. And the lead actress there expressed like how much relation she had with the lead, and being able to portray this like young Black girl was so important to her.
Yeah, I know. I was actually talking with one of my I was texting one of my former guests. I believe I had a conversation about this with one of my former guests, Marcus. He's working on this project called the 3-Step Program, and it very much touches on those same dystopian ideas that kind of relate to now. And we realized that, oh, you know, like you have a character who's going through this experimental program that's literally just like what the U.S. government was doing in the 70s.
Yeah.
And you have a character that's, in one episode, he's going through prison. I'm like, oh, damn, this feels way too relevant.
Yeah.
and that's that beauty of being able to, like, take those connections that are, those current problems that are affecting us right now, and to put that in dystopia. And to make it relevant, that's really hard to do.
Yeah,
and,
it is. Yeah. I think within the next 4 years, the dystopian genre is going to be real popular. I think a lot of people are starting to write more dystopian things. Just again, like it's just a really great outlet.
It's an outlet to express the frustrations of the state of the world.
Yeah.
And let's just say a lot of people are frustrated right now, but hopefully through these stories we can be a little bit less.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for now. I want please let the audience know where they can watch In the Bloom. Is it going to be screening anywhere? So we're planning on putting In Bloom through a film festival route. Hopefully it'll get shown in Boston, and that will be announced. Because film festivals prioritize like that premiere screening, it won't be screening anywhere for public once it's done. But then once it's done through the film festival route, hopefully it will land someplace on the internet. But it's still just like feeling out where the film is really supposed to live. But I like the idea of just like going through film festivals and just being seen, period. Because I think I'm at least one person in the audience might have a new perspective.
That's really, of course, that's incredibly important, because these film festivals are also where, you know, I went to Sundance, and that's where, like, you know, like, it's crazy, because, like, I would watch some films in January, and then I would see them later throughout the year, because a lot of those movies do get selected, and it's a great opportunity, and I wanted to wish you guys the best of luck. You guys can follow In the Bloom on Instagram, and follow them for more updates about filming and you know, where they're going to be. Any last words, guys?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This
Thank
was awesome, and I'm glad we got to talk about some of this. I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've been
Yeah.
watching the FrameCast. This is peace out.